Well, greetings subscribers. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. And this is one of many videos I'll be making on my candy apple red Hutch Trickstar. This is 40 years old, NOS, and basically brand new in the box. Unmounted, unmolested, never assembled, and I'm still shocked at how I was able to find it and get it. The BMX gods must have been shining down on me that day. But we're now to the point where I've got all of the rest of the parts collected, and we're about ready to do the final assembly. So I thought, hey, I'll do a video of all the parts. Now, this particular bike, although it's going to be about 90% original, with all of the original parts from back in the day, there's a couple things I made an exception on because it's not going to be a show bike per se. I'm actually building this as a rider and can't wait to get it in the skate park. So a couple little things that I wanted to do on this particular build is I did want to go tough wheels, mainly just because of the look. And I remember when these bikes came out, 1984, 85, and I first saw them in the stores. Chrome was really the biggest one you could find, with either chrome wheels like Araya 7X or even ACS, Z wheels in black. Hated the Z wheels. Actually did not care for tough wheels either because I've broken them before in the past. But they're repop now, and precision bearings, hubs, so I wanted that look, and not necessarily the 5-spoke, because I actually like the 6-spoke better. So I reached out to Dan's Comp online. They're over the pond, and surprisingly, man, these are cheap, and shipping was only like 5 days, and got those in, and then also got the cool caps online, which these are difficult to find now too, and only available in like the anniversary gold. So I want to do them silver, again, to match the look of what the bike was in 40 years ago. And so it'll actually be fun de-anodizing bike parts. Haven't done that in man, I can't. Probably 30 plus years as well. So yeah, that should be a blast, and I'll probably video that as well. And then what else? I think we'll just go down, list of parts. So one of the things that really surprised me was Dicomp MX1000s. That's what I have on my Robinson race bike from back in the day. And just for the record, I still have that bike in its original condition. It's a 1979 Robinson, and when I retired it in 1984, it still has all of the original parts that it had back then on it right now. And one of the things that I wanted to duplicate was a lot of the parts that I had back then and was used to back then. And I just, again, can't believe, even with the kind of repop on these, I had MX1000s front and back, and it's just so cool that I can run that same brake caliper again, front and back. And same with the levers. These little Tech 3 levers. I mean, they're still making them, and so that's great also. And a couple other things that are reminiscent, KMC. So I know people probably bash me a little bit on the chain and single speed and the thickness and whatever, but back in the day, if you raced, it was KMC or DID, and you went for something a little stronger, because I have broken chains before, on the starting gate, and that is not fun. So one of my other bigger scores, which quite honestly, man, I did not think Hutch was going to be quite so difficult, chasing down parts. And then even if you're lucky enough to find them, I cannot believe, the prices of some of this NOS stuff. So I was lucky to find this, Western H style neck, original NOS 80, probably 83, 84. It's got the, the Potts conversion on it, double hole for the rotors, everything. And so yeah, it was on a show bike, I guess. And yeah, it's got the original, chrome, as bad as that was back in the day, with all the little machining marks and stuff. So I was going to go black originally, and I'll get into that too, because I've got so many parts that are either in red, black, or chrome. It's crazy. But yeah, that was definitely a big score. And also, so was the ACS Pro Rotor. This one's brand new, never used. And anybody that's looking for them, they actually have quite a few of these new in the box, never used, never mounted, in Taiwan and Malaysia. There's some guy online who's got like, I don't know, 100 of these in different colors, purple, red, chrome. So yeah, brand new, never mounted. So that'll actually look good, and probably the reason I'm gonna just keep the neck chrome and not paint over it. Did come with the bearing cup, but I'm not gonna run this because I hate the old school bearing cups because yeah, if you've ever ridden park and ramps and stuff like that, you can bash these and crack them, and so I prefer to go with something a little newer like these Tangis with precision bearings, black, and then and ideally I would rather go with like a bash proof one, a little bit better. So this is my plan, and then what I'm going to have to do is probably either steal some parts from my gyro, or I also ordered one of these little Sunlight front brake cable holders, and I'll figure something out. It'll be fine. So next thing down the list probably was some of the JDB parts. It's nice that you can still go to hutchbmx.com and get the actual grips, although I would have to say nowadays they're a little smaller than I remember, but yeah, we'll get those on the bike. That'll be cool. And then the biggest score that I had, well, second to biggest score that I had from the stem is getting the Hutch bear traps, and that again is something that I always wanted when I was a kid, especially racing. And my shins are probably thankful I never was able to afford them, but trying to chase down a set in either black or red was almost impossible and very costly. So I was glad to get those, and that kind of changed what my color design was going to be originally, and kind of get into that a little bit. So the next big score obviously was the Redline Flight cranks. They are reproducing those now, and a couple little things with those. I know a lot of people online are, especially the purists are, well, they're not 401s. They're, whether they're full wrap, half wrap, single pinch, double pinch, whatever. I am just happy and thrilled to finally have a set of Redline Flights, and also in the 180 length, that I wanted. So, it is what it is, and I'm completely ecstatic. And besides, for most racers, if you don't know, especially people riding around in jeans and stuff like that, most people at the time did not like this, especially the single pinch. They didn't like those because your pant leg and your shoelaces and stuff like that would get wrapped around the back of this. And if you've never had that happen, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. And I actually was in search of, and almost bought back in the day, the Redline 400s, which were the I think the Sagino ones that came more set up like this, minus the pinch. So they already had the spider like pre-attached, and it was molded as one piece. And that's the ones that I actually wanted, and I couldn't ever find them. And I think I found them like once at a bike shop in 1983 or 4 or something. But that was also about the time the Scary Harry Leary Diamondback Turbo came out, and they had the bike there for $12.99 in 1985. I think it was 84 or 85. And all I was able to afford eventually were the Diamondback Turbo cranks, and I still have those on my Robinson to this day. And so next thing was getting a seat. I have a Kashimax on order from I think it was Taiwan, and it's actually a leather, which matches what's on my Robinson as well. And on these, I didn't really care. This is a Black Ops. I've ran these on my Mongoose Ritual, and I may have even swapped it out on one other bike at one point. So they're fine, and they look good, and they've got the old school hardware and everything. So I'm not really too concerned. Again, not a show bike. It's going to be a park rider and jumper. So it is what it is until the other one comes in. It's cool that they have cool stops. Cool that they have cool stops. Y'all run those, and in the past I was more of a Matt Hauser person. Those seem to work great for racing. And then, as I said before, I got multiple parts in different colors for obvious reasons. I got kind of some old Suntour kind of DX type pedals, for riding in a skate park. So if I bashed something, wasn't going to be too concerned about it. And then also, remember that Haro does make their old vintage pedals, kind of similar to the Suntours, and so I got a red set because I wasn't really sure, what color I was going to go, if I wanted black cranks and red pedals and everything else. So these are painted; they're not anodized. So I figured, if I needed to paint them, I could. Even if they were, silver, I could always strip them, de-anodize them, and then re-anodize them, with whatever color I wanted to go with. And that was kind of that. And like, speaking of the colors, when I said, I've gone I've gone multiple colors of everything, trying to find like, tough neck parts and these discs and stuff. Although, it's a funny thing, like when you get into the Redline 400s and these power discs and stuff like that, people didn't run these. If you came from the racing side, you didn't want any of that extra weight. So putting a great big thing in a bash guard and all that kind of stuff on your regular BMX race bike just was not something you were interested in. So that brings us to one of the biggest items, which you saw in one of the previous videos. That's my 1980s NOS Mike Dominguez ladder bars, and these are the real deal. No knurling, they're not repops. And another shout out to Snail Motorsports, because they spent quite a bit of time matching that color. It was a matter of that hyper silver with the translucent or the transparent candy apple on top of it, and tinting that, which you can do multiple layers of that to get the color right. And man, it matches. It's pretty much spot on. And so again, these are not like the freestyler bars. They're not crimped or flattened. No knurling. So they're the real deal. So, and I kind of wanted that. I wanted the bike to pretty much be set up to feel the way it did, or how I imagined back in like 1984 or 85, when I just could not afford one. They were. I mean, the frames were $875, $895, something like that. Another. I don't remember if that was frame and forks, but the bikes were certainly $1,000 or whatever what people spent on a car. So I wasn't, trailer park trash. I wasn't getting one, so it's pretty good. And kind of one of the last things too was the laid back seat posts. So somebody posted on the other video, hey, those aren't Hutch laid back posts. Yeah, I have a Hutch laid back post. It was chrome. It was in pretty rough shape. It had a lot of marks up here on the top, and definitely a bunch of marks down here, and a lot of them people ran so high that most of them are bent, just like the same with the H stems. And so we tried a couple things. One, trying not to re-chrome it. That was kind of the first step. Was let's just put the red candy over it and see how it looks, and it actually looked terrible. So I had another one, and some GT laid backs, and another laid back where we tried both one that was chrome with just the candy coating on it, and then one stripped I think that was the Porsche white one, stripped, covered with the hyper silver, which is basically chrome after it's baked, and then with the red candy on top of it. And that's the one that matches perfectly. And that also brings up the point of running into the seat post problem. So as you know, with some of the old bikes and some of the newer parts and the repop parts, they don't necessarily match up that well. So case in point with the seat post, if you got a 7/8 or a 22.2 millimeter, I mean, if you've got a Hutch Trickstar, depending on the year, or even if it's one of the newer ones, that may not actually fit. It may not work. And I say that because this is a aluminum mongoose, original mongoose one, and this is 7/8, 22.2, and just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, here you go. Look at the look at the. I mean, that just falls right down in, and that's a 22.2. And this frame, being 84, 85, whatever original, yeah, it doesn't have the thinner wall. So I would pull the other one out, but I don't want to scrape it up. But that one fits perfectly. And the other thing with like the Hutch one, that was a 22.4, I think, and then with a couple coatings on it, it was maybe 22.5 or 6, and would barely fit. Same thing with these. I had to stretch this out a little bit too, for the same thing, because it will fit like this, but then see, it'll just go there, and then when you twist it, it's actually nice and tight. So I'm happy about that. And then just, to show you on here, yeah, unmolested, unmounted. Yeah, never had bearing cups, never mounted, never damaged, never worn. Nothing's ever been installed. So yeah, I'm looking very, very forward to the build. And once I get the build done, for sure, I'll get that posted online. And then, of course, it's maiden voyage. Cannot wait. And last, to wrap up the video, got this little Flick Tricks. And yeah, it's the red, candy apple red Hutch Trickstar. And hard to believe that these are even pretty much impossible to find. And this thing is 15 years old. So the only thing I'll leave you with on this is I am dying to rip open this package and paint those tough wheels black just so that they match the bike, but I just can't. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video. Hope you enjoy the parts and the overview, and again, stay tuned. We'll hopefully have this thing on the road and in the park very soon.